Have you ever wandered through a ship model exhibit and thought, I'd really like to try that, but I have no idea where I'd even begin? It can be overwhelming when you look at all that detail and the rigging that seems to run in all directions at once. How do you make sense of it all? We can help with that. The USS Constitution Model Shipwright Guild has been around for more than 40 years, and right from the very start, our main goal was to further the skills and the knowledge of our members by sharing all that we've learned about this craft that we love so much. Throughout the pages of our website, you'll find how-to videos on techniques and methods, as well as guides to references and research materials. And if you've had some experience building wooden ship models and you want to advance your skills, we have plenty of material for you too. Subjects like painting for scale effect, rigging practices, and which woods are best to use for different purposes. But for this video, we're going right to step one. Where do I start? Hi, my name's Tom Lauria, and I'm a longtime member of the Guild. In this video, I'd like to speak specifically to you folks out there that may be considering model shipbuilding as a hobby, but possibly are a little hesitant about investing a lot of time and money in a hobby that you may wind up not even really liking all that much. Well, I've got a way around that for you. And while it doesn't guarantee absolute success of your first project, it'll certainly put you on the right road. This whole approach to ship model building is based around three very simple concepts: choosing the right subject, choosing the right kit, and not investing any more money in tools than are absolutely necessary to get the job done. If you can do those three things, you've got half the battle won already. So let's talk about the first thing, choosing the right subject. What is the right subject? Well, that's a very personal decision, and it's going to be different for everybody. But the most important thing in choosing your subject is that it means something to you. It's got to be something that you identify with, or maybe you want to learn more about. Or it could be something just as simple as you've always liked the form of that vessel. But whatever it is, it's got to be something that you can relate to. And most importantly, it should be simple. The next point, choosing the right kit. Now, there are plenty of kits out there. There are dozens of kit manufacturers and suppliers. But choosing the right kit is a little more complex than you might think. Here are a few tips to keep in mind. There are plenty of domestic manufacturers and suppliers, and there are plenty of imports, both from Europe and Asia. But the thing I'm going to warn you about with the imported kits is not the quality of the kits at all, but there are a couple of crucial differences that you really need to consider. If it's imported, the directions are probably going to be translated from whatever country the kit came from. Italy, Spain, China. So a lot of things get lost in translation. So you have to consider that the clarity of those directions that you're going to be relying on a lot as a new model builder might be compromised because of that, or it's going to send you to Google Translate for what they really meant. Another thing is that they are most likely going to be all in metric measurements. And unless you're very comfortable converting metric to imperial measurements, that's probably going to be another subject you want to seriously consider. So it would be my recommendation that for your first project, stick to the domestic kits. So, a good kit to start. What would be a good kit to start with? One of the best kits I've found for exploring whether or not you really are a ship model kind of person is the Grand Banks Dory kit by Blue Jacket Shipcrafters of Searsport, Maine. This just happens to be a good kit. I'll tell you why. The directions are clearly written and they're well illustrated. They're simple. And this kit, while it doesn't match your possible grand vision of building HMS Victory or Cutty Sark or Constitution, it fulfills that very important niche of being simple. It's doable. And the way the kit is designed and the way the instructions are written makes it even more doable for the neophyte ship modeler. The important thing to remember here is that the skills you will need to build this kit are going to translate to any model you build. There'll be skills that you carry for the rest of your ship modeling life if you decide to have one. So, let's take a look and see what's in the box. Now, as we open this, the first thing you're going to notice is that there doesn't seem to be a whole lot to it. We have the instruction book, as I said, well written, well illustrated. You have some general instructions that are just good practices for ship model building in general. And you have 3 sheets of plans, and for components you have a sleeve full of dowels and strip wood and some sheet stock and a little piece of a dowel. You'll find out what all that's for later on. And here, basically, is your future dory. Doesn't look like much now, but you're going to change that. And it's easier than you might think. The thing that you'll notice about this, like I said, there's not a lot to this, and that's a good thing. And here's why. That makes this project doable. It is not overwhelming. It's just going to be maybe a long weekend with nothing else on your agenda. Or maybe it's a few evenings after dinner. Dishes have all been cleared and you don't feel like watching the tube. This is a great thing to kill your evening because you'll be learning a lot and you'll have something to show at the end of it. It doesn't take much space. Half the kitchen table will probably be more than you need. At the end of your work session, it easily packs right back into the box and you can put it away safely. And believe me, that's going to go a long way with keeping the peace in your family if they don't have to walk around your stuff all the time. And probably the best thing for the brand new to ship modeling kind of person is that you don't need any specialized tools to build this entire kit. It can all be done with hobby knives, scissors, rulers. I mean, just the most basic of tools. The only specialized tool you'll need, really, is some drill bits of very small sizes. But that's the extent of it. So what basically boils down to is you can try this hobby out for a grand total of maybe $150. And sad to say, in today's world, that really isn't all that much anymore. I will warn you, though, this could become a lifelong obsession. It's always good to start with a couple of good quality rulers. The 2 I most often find useful are this 18-inch steel ruler and this smaller 6-inch machinist's scale. That's just a pretentious sounding name for little ruler. A square is also a necessity, and here you see a 3-inch machinist's square and a smaller adjustable T-square. If you buy just one, buy the larger one, and you can get a combination square at the hardware store. It doesn't have to be a sliding machinist scale like this one is. Same goes for the compass and the dividers in this photo. If you buy one, make it the bigger one. And the dividers are part of a set of drafting tools, old-fashioned drafting tools, that I picked up for about $10 at an antique store. So again, not a lot of money, nothing special about them. The digital calipers can be an expensive item, and you really don't need them, but you can get them fairly cheaply. They're available from places like Harbor Freight for about $18 or $20, and they very often have them on sale for half price. So again, not much money, and you get increased measuring accuracy. Large and small scissors can be had almost anywhere, probably in the kitchen drawer. Maybe not the small ones, but the big ones certainly. And the small ones you can get from anywhere, CVS or Joann Fabrics or any place like that. Clothespins in various sizes make great model clamps. So do alligator clips. I almost never buy clamps that a seller will bill specifically as ship model clamps. Usually anything they will gladly charge you $6 or $10 a piece for can be had at the hardware store for a fraction of the cost, and then you can just alter it to suit your needs. Now, one of the few things that you may need to go to a specialty purveyor for are small drill bits and a pin vise. Now, you can get them from places like Micromark or any of the places that sell hobby or jewelry supplies like Contente or Guess Wing. They can come in assortments, packaged assortments. They will range in size from a number 60 drill all the way down to a number 80 drill. That number 80 drill, just to give you a reference, is about 13 thousandths or roughly a 64th of an inch. You won't need anything that small, and in truth, you'll probably only need about 3 or 4 sizes for the whole project. So you may be tempted to buy the assortments, but they're a little pricey, and you really won't need many of those drills. And in the realm of it would really be nice to have is some kind of rotary tool like a Dremel or a Proxxon or something like that. But for this project, in truth, it really is not necessary at all. The one thing that I didn't include in the photographs was sandpaper and emery boards. I love to use emery boards on my models. They're flexible, they come in varied grits, and they're not all that expensive, and they're available anywhere. CVS, Sally's Beauty Supply, any place like that. And I would go for, on the sandpaper, maybe a sheet of 150 grit paper and a sheet of maybe 220 grit paper. That's really all you need. And for the emery boards, you can get grits that roughly match that. They usually come in combinations of one side would be 100 grit and the other side would be 180 or 240 and 400s. Anything like that is fine. And that would be plenty for a project like this. So, that's a brief introduction to building ship models. If you're still not sure you want to give ship modeling a try, let me take one more shot at trying to persuade you. Join our group. Annual dues are just $25 a year. And here's some of the benefits that you could be enjoying. The camaraderie. Building ship models can be a very solitary act. Attending the guild meetings reaffirms that, no, you are not alone, and yes, there are more of us out there than you might think. The friendships formed through the guild often last lifetimes. Our monthly newsletter, The Broadside, it's a well-done and expansive newsletter of what's happening in our group and what's happening in the broader maritime community, both scale and full-sized. Our members are strongly encouraged to contribute articles on their latest projects. And in this time of COVID, we're not holding in-person meetings, but we are holding monthly Zoom meetings where you can get to know the other members and see firsthand what they've been up to. And speaking of Zoom, let's say you're working on a project and you've hit a dead end. You can arrange a Zoom meeting with one of our people experienced in the particular field of your interest. Having trouble with that stern trawler? We have someone who is actually a captain of a stern trawler, and we can put you in direct contact with him, and he might be able to help you with your problem. Same goes for ships and bottles. We have 2 masters of the craft willing to help. America's Cup boats, 19th century whaling, the list goes on. And then there's the Guild's lending library. Hundreds of hard-to-find titles about maritime history, ships, and the sea, and a very large catalog of ships' plans to borrow. Now, I'm sure I've left many things out, but I think you get the idea. So, if you've been thinking about ship modeling, I hope this brief look will convince you to give it a try. If you have any questions, you can get in touch with us through the contact page, and someone will get right back to you. I'll be looking for you at our next meeting.